With a thick swallow, I turned back to the other man, steeling myself against the wrath Damon so generously invoked in him. Damon was unnerving, in his own kind of way. But this man is downright terrifying. Tall, rigid, with a scowl so intimidating, it makes my blood run cold. Looks like the warm welcome ended with Bash.
What are you doing here?
Folding his arms over his broad chest, he stares me down. And I try my hardest not to shrink under his glacial glare. Excuse me? He lets out an exasperated huff of air, his sharp jaw tensing with his frustration.
Look, I don't have time to babysit a stowaway. Do us all a favor and keep off the bridge, will you?
Just who exactly do you think you are? He fixes me with a heavy stare, and my stomach tightens under the ferocity of it.
Calderon Lynch, captain of this ship.
Oh. Well, Captain, shouldn't you be more welcoming to your guests?
Not unwelcome ones, no.
I blink at him stupidly, attempting to contemplate how exactly one man can be so obnoxious. Damon almost seems like an angel in comparison. Almost.
Play nice now, Calderon.
My eyes flick up over him involuntarily. He has the look of a soldier. Strong jaw, stiff back, stick up his butt about a mile long.
Look, I really don't have time for... Ayame! Get the ship on course. We are not stopping by the Catalfan ruins. I don't care what time of year it is.
The woman barks something at him and I back away slowly, thinking it's probably best to keep out of his way after all. I've barely made it 3 steps before he turns, sapphire eyes landing on me in a cold stare, freezing me in place.
You're from Goldus.
The way he says it isn't a question, but it catches me off guard nonetheless. What?
That's where we picked you up, right?
Right?
So, tell me, do you really think this new guy in power, Zovak, is going to be any better than the greedy scumbag before him?
A flash of anger passes over his features, so quickly I would have missed it if I wasn't looking closely. My eyebrows knit together, confused. Maybe Riona was mistaken about my accident. I feel less like I've taken a blow to the head, and more like I've been dropped into another galaxy entirely. I don't know. He sneers at me, his lips curled cruelly, and immediately I know I've struck a nerve.
You don't know? Isn't that all you Goldians wanted? A freaking liberator?
Back off, Captain.
The woman, Ayame, warns him, her voice low, but with enough venom coating it to be threatening. Calderon snorts, ignoring her.
How do I know you're not one of his lackeys? Maybe this whole memory loss ploy was a way to get on the ship.
You think I want this? To not know who I am?
Who knows what you'd say to worm your way into my crew?
You're unbelievable! He takes a step towards me, and it's so intimidating that it takes everything I have not to move a muscle.
And you're becoming a pain in the neck, so I'm gonna ask you one last time.
He points a finger at me, and I resist the urge to shove it away.
Are you working for Jess Zovak?
Who? He closes his eyes and pinches the bridge of his nose tight, and I can almost see whatever shred of patience he had left wither and die. I don't know what else he expects me to say. I have no idea who this Zovak is.
What the hell are you doing on my ship?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Sounds to me like I need to have a word with June about picking up strays.
My chest heaves with my anger, but I hold my tongue. He is the captain, after all, even if his manners leave much to be desired.
Know this. Until we reach our destination, all eyes will be on you.
Are you always this paranoid?
Paranoia is the least of my worries. Zovak is not a man to be trifled with.
If you don't like him, then maybe he's not so bad. It takes only a second to know that this was the wrong thing to say. His lips curl back from his teeth, revealing a scowl so venomous my eyes widen.
Not so bad? You think murder and deceit and radicalism is not so bad?
His growl echoes straight through me, and I inhale sharply, meeting him head on.
Zovak, the slimeball who forced the Crown Council to name him king. But not before killing the entire royal family. Think about that, will you? King Fenris for 3 queens and their 11 children. Murder.
His eyes are blazing, the fury made obvious by the growl in his voice and the flush of his skin.
Now, how about you tell me again how he's not so bad?
For Pete's sake, Calderon, have you really got to be a raging moron 98% of the time?
She grabs Calderon by the arm, hoisting him back a step while she glares up at him.
They're not responsible for the mess we're in.
He fixes her with an equally hard stare, the tension between them palpable as he grits out from between clenched teeth.
Set the course, now.
She merely rolls her eyes at him, storming back to the cockpit controls. The confusion must show on my face, because when he turns to me again, he lets out a defeated sigh, rubbing a hand over his face tiredly.
You really don't remember anything?
His voice is surprisingly gentle now, and I shake my head, unable to tear my gaze away from his. There's something about those eyes. Calderon's got a wall around him about a mile high. That much is obvious. But every now and then, there's a flicker of something. If I didn't know better, I'd say it was sadness. He inhales sharply, the red flush of anger melting away as he waves a dismissive hand at me.
Whatever. I've got stuff to do. Head back to your room. I'll have someone check on you later.
I let out an impatient sigh. Fine, I'm going. But it's not because you asked me to. The captain smirks, his eyes darkening in cold amusement at this last display of defiance.
Whatever you have to tell yourself.
A flush of heat spreads over my neck, though I try desperately to suppress it. The last thing I need is for him to know he's getting to me. And I certainly don't need him knowing that I find that authoritative smirk of his somewhat attractive. I mean, no, Stop, Nico! Shaking my head to clear any unwanted thoughts, I turn to leave, but not before I see his lips curl even higher at the sides.
Wait. What did you say your name was?
I didn't, but it's Nico. He gives me a strange look, eyebrow quirked. Then he shakes his head as if deciding he doesn't care after all.
Well, whoever you are, we'll be dropping you off in Terranium once we get there. I suggest you come up with a plan before then. The streets of Nos Vega are not kind to the unprepared. Until then, unless you can do something useful, which I highly doubt, stay out of the way.
He turns to leave the room, but not before giving me another once-over, sizing me up. I stand there dumbly, watching the captain leave the bridge, his heavy-set footsteps disappearing underneath the hiss of the closing door.